not many people notice at the time, but on November 30th, 2022, something happened, which is going to change our entire world. It's going to change the way we work. It's going to change the way we learn. It's going to change the way we live our life. And you guessed it, this was the release of ChatGPT 3 on that date, which everybody is talking about now. So what is ChatGPT? I'm sure that many people have a good idea now, but ChatGPT is just a chatbot, which has the power to go into the billions and billions of pages of information available in the internet and analyze that information, process that information, and give you an answer to any question you may have. It's a text-based large language model, and people are still experimenting. When I first sat with ChatGPT just to see what it can do, I got excited, honestly. But when I learned more and I knew the potential of ChatGPT, I got a little scared. Today, I feel frightened, not because of the technology, what it could do, but when I look at the people who could be impacted by this technology and the level of complacency they have, that really makes me frightened. Never in the history we have such a situation where we have a big wave of change coming up so close in timeline, and we have no idea whether it would be a great opportunity for us or a great threat. We don't know. Now, automation is no more a fantasy. Automation is a reality. For the last 10, 15 years, we have been digesting and convincing ourselves that automation will take away millions of jobs. And it did take away millions of jobs. But until last year, only last year, it was a general consensus that first it would be the blue-collar jobs which would be affected. And yes, blue-collar job did get impacted. If you go to the modern warehouses and manufacturing places, you will see that many places there are robots working. Then it would impact the low-skilled white-collar jobs. And yes, it did impact the low-skilled white-collar jobs. Many routine processes were automated. And only then we thought that it would impact the high-skilled white-collar jobs, the knowledge workers, the category we represent. Also, the people who are in the creative domain, like authors, writers, filmmakers, programmers, software developers, they would be the last to be impacted by that. ChatGPT has proved that it directly impacted those high-skilled or creative jobs. So today, programming jobs are at risk. Content writing is at risk. Authors, writers, designers, they are all at risk because ChatGPT has suddenly got into that area of creativity and risking all such jobs. So it happened so quickly that we even were not able to really to digest this reality. And as I said, until last year, there was consensus that would be the sequence of the automation impacting the jobs. Now, the main question for us here is to really know whether finance jobs would be impacted or not. Honestly, I don't know, and no one else knows at this point of time. But what we are seeing in terms of the output coming from the ChatGPT is very much expected that everything would be impacted. You can only question the timeline. How long would it take? So I understand that ChatGPT is a text-based system. So I myself was not sure whether it could process numbers, because when it comes to the finance jobs, it has to have the ability to process numbers. So I tried to do some research, didn't get any good, clear answers. I said, let me experiment myself. So I went to ChatGPT and asked the question that, could you process numbers? And it says, of course, I can process the numbers. Okay, so let me test it with some simple examples. So I gave a few assumptions and asked him to calculate the lease payment for my car. And it did in 6 seconds. Very accurate, and also explained how did it calculate that number. Okay, that's encouraging as well as, again, scaring. Let me do a little bit more difficult challenge to ChatGPT. So I asked ChatGPT, can you do the financial forecast? So financial forecast is related to future. It involves a lot of insight and judgment and subjective areas to take account into. So I asked ChatGPT whether it could do the financial forecast. It said, of course I can do. If you provide me some historical data, and if you could give me some assumptions, I can do forecasts. So I downloaded some data from the internet for Apple Incorporated, which was readily available. Then I got a little confused that how do I enter that data? Because if you have used ChatGPT, it only gives you one field for command. So I asked ChatGPT again, how do you want me to enter the historical data? And it says, you can give in a spreadsheet or a PDF or a Word document or some other forms, but a spreadsheet is probably the best. Then again, try to figure it out. How do I enter the spreadsheet into this one row field? So I just copied from the spreadsheet and pasted that data in the same field where you are supposed to give the command. And I ask it that, look, based on this historical cost, make some general assumptions and give me the forecast for the next 2 years. And again, in maybe 12, 15 seconds, it gave me the forecast. That scared me, honestly. Now I know that first output from GPT coming as financial forecast is not in the form of directly being presented to the management or the business management. But you know what? ChatGPT is learning itself very fast. Imagine 12 months from now, what level of forecast or quality of forecast it could generate. So that was just a small test I did myself. And if you are using it, you can observe yourself that every day, every week, improvement is coming out because there is a self-learning mechanism. ChatGPT, as you interact with ChatGPT, it is also learning with your interaction, and it's improving by hour, by days, by week. We need to understand what we are getting into. If you look at the technology or the computers, so it's not new. We have been dealing with the computers for now almost 30 years. So all computing machines, whether they are crude, early time personal computers or the sophisticated advanced computer, they all have the three basic functionalities, which are basically speed, accuracy, and memory. These are the three functions, basic functions. But with the recent development, these three functions, basic functions, have reached to a level of perfection. And with the level of perfection, with these three simple functionalities, when they are interfaced with the billions and billions of pages of information available on the internet, it could create wonders. That's exactly what it is doing. And it's learning every day. So if I asked you that, what would be the future look like for finance jobs? And if we just focus on FP&A area, which is tasked with the creating financial forecast, you don't have to look into the crystal ball. With the very crude forecast available today, if it is improved month by month, year by year, then, and assuming that you have a F&A team of 10 people currently, you of course don't need those 10 people. Now, I believe FP&A function would still survive 2 years from now, but probably you don't need 10 people. You may just need 2 people. ChatGPT or any other AI form of tool would be doing the basic groundwork. And of course, you need to edit it, fine-tune it, improve it, but not 10 people are required. 2 people would be good enough. So the big question here is, we need to ask ourselves, where do you see yourself 2 years from now? Are you part of those 2 people still doing the work in FP&A, or you are part of the 8 people who are gone? Can you see that? Can you answer that question? Because we are talking of the unknown, the biggest reality is that we don't know what we don't know. And the general tendency or the comfort zone with this level of thinking is that it's a choice for you not to do anything. You can say that, look, let me wait and see what happens. When things are clear, I'll do something. That might be a little too late. And you may feel at that time yourself worthless, because all the skills we have today, most of the skills would very fast becoming obsolete. It's prudent that yes, we don't know what we don't know. We don't know, there is a lot of uncertainty, but we need to do something. We cannot afford to just sit idle and do nothing. That would be suicidal for us. You might have heard a term called digital divide. Digital divide, the term has been used to describe the split between the people in this world who have access to the computers, internet, technology, or the people who have not. So until a decade ago, there were people in the developed world or developing countries who have access to this technology, and half of the world or most of the world did not have. Based on that situation, the term digital divide came up. Today, most people in Africa have access to internet than the drinking water. 5 billion people in this world today have access to the mobile phones. If you have access to the mobile phone, you have access to the internet. If you have access to the internet, you have access to all the information, all the learning available in this world. So it's no more digital divide. There is still a divide, but it is more like a motivation divide. The people who are motivated, they're still learning. The people who are not motivated, they're not learning. So simply by making access available to the people for the technology, it doesn't solve the problem of learning. So we all understand learning is very important, but this learning is quite different. This learning we are talking about requires a very different frame of mind, because it's not only learning, it's learning and unlearning and relearning. What is the difference? We are transitioning from a mental model of really investing ourselves heavily with education at the early part of our life. So 15, 20 years, you focus totally on developing yourself with the education in order to prepare yourself to go into the real field and start some business or career. So first part of the life, you are investing heavily in your learning, and the remainder part of life, we think we would utilize is ROI on our investment. Now, we are all accountant, at least the people present here. We know that when you make a heavy investment, you need to recover that investment over the future periods of time. And you are not easily willing to surrender that investment as a sunk cost. So mentally, we are heavily tuned that we are educated. I have done my education. I'm a master's degree holder, right? 18 years of education. I have done CPA or chartered accountancy or CMA. I'm a qualified professional accountant. I know everything. And with that mindset, we are trying to solve today's business problems, which is, as you can see, is not working at all. So the new model is that you need to learn every day. There are new things. Today, even in colleges, the college student who are learning something in the first year becomes obsolete by the time they reach to the third and the fourth year. That is how things are changing. So our main challenge is not really cognitive to decide to learn, but psychological, how to prepare ourselves, how to accept ourselves to start learning and unlearning. So if I go back to the scenario I created for you, like 2 people are still there in the FP&A and 8 people are gone. What do you think? Why those 2 people are retained in those jobs? What could be the reason? They may all have the equal skills as far as the FP&A is concerned. But if you think a little logically, probably those 2 people are the ones who have better relationship with other people, who have better communication with other people, who have more empathy, who have more emotional intelligence, who are the people outside finance people would like to work with them, right? What we are talking about here is soft skills. Soft skills are still valuable and will remain valuable, especially the leadership skills, the people skills, and the conceptual skills. They are not going to be obsolete soon. I don't expect any robot having a level of emotional intelligence, at least in my lifetime, to really be available. Yes, we know there are talks that it's not far away that technology would really exceed the human intelligence, but we still have some time to develop ourselves and make ourselves relevant. Think of a scenario I share that very often. What you want to be? You want to be a gold coin or a currency note? And if you are a currency note, you have a temporary life. You are endorsed by someone else, state bank or central bank in this case. But if you become a gold coin, you have intrinsic value. No matter a stamp or no stamp, you have an intrinsic value. Look at yourself today and see whether you are a gold coin or a currency note. If you're a gold coin, you don't need any endorsement. You don't need any certification. Anywhere you go, you have those skills. So these are mainly the soft skills. If you have good level of emotional skills, if you are good in communication, if you know how to work collaborative in teams, you have intrinsic value. That is what makes you a gold coin. So focus on those skills. But look, at the same time, don't forget about the technical skills. People ask me, should I learn Python? And I said, you can, but just keep in mind that 2 years from now, Python may not be relevant. There will be something else. So technical skills are important, but they have a short life. You need to develop a mindset that, yes, I'm learning it as long as it is relevant and needed. And maybe soon I need to learn something else. That's the perishable life of technical skills because of the technology progress. But soft skills, leadership skills, digital skills would remain there. And that is what really makes you distinct in your work environment. So look, it's challenging, I know, but I have a firm belief, and I hope you have a firm belief. As a human being, we have unlimited capacity, unlimited capability. If I ask you how much capacity or capability you are using, most people will say not more than 20, 30%, which means that we still have a big reservoir of capacity and capability inside us. Because of the human nature, we don't use it unless we are pushed into it. And now we are pushed into the situation where we need to tap that capacity, bring it out and use it for our survival and for creating value for the world. If I look at the future, I would say that, look, all of us need to do something. We need to start exploring our hidden potential. And I could assure you that I believe this deeply, fundamentally, that our best days are still in future, but you need to do some work today. That's the message I wanted to communicate to you. Thank you very much.
So Salim, the question is, what is the risk, or like how this ChatGPT is threatening jobs for the finance, and what is the risks involved in this?
So I will give you an indirect answer for this, because as I said a couple of times, things are not clear. It's very uncertain. We really don't know what we don't know. But what I would advise you to do is to start using ChatGPT yourself and try to use it, whatever your function is. Try to see that what are the things you can get done by ChatGPT and improve your productivity and efficiency. Again, for example, if you are in the FP&A function, then see how could you use some groundwork. It will not do all the work, but how could you use some groundwork to save your time, improve productivity, and more importantly, learn what technology could do. As we know, the technology is changing every day. You have to develop your insight that how it would take over your job over a period of time. But you have a bigger task. As technology is taking over your job, you need to find something superior, more valuable to create from your side so that you remain relevant. And the only way is to get involved with the technology yourself to learn with reference to your job what it is doing, what it could do, and make yourself better than technology. So you don't need to compete with technology right now directly, but you need to understand how technology is going to serve you, help you in your job. I would give you another analogy. Assume, and this is for all of you, assume that all of you have been promoted, not promoted, but promoted 2-3 levels above your current role. Without any test, without any interview, you are just given this mandate that you are promoted 2-3 levels higher. But you have 6 to 12 months to prove that. That's the good news, that you still have time. In 6 to 12 months, if you could prove that you are capable, qualified for that promotion 2-3 times higher, then you would survive. If not, then 6 to 12 months or maybe 2 years max, you would be fired because you failed to demonstrate that you are capable of that promotion. And your previous job is not there because technology available to do that your job. So you are not needed for that job. You are only needed, you are only relevant for the job which is much higher than your current job. And you are capable of doing that. You are capable of doing that. You need to demonstrate, you need to make effort to tap that potential, and that will make you better value creating in future or near future.
Salim, we have another question.
What is the credibility of the data for ChatGPT? Is it credible data? So can we rely on it for decision making, or it's
not reliable? It's not reliable. As I said, that even if you get anything as output, don't use it right away as it is. You need to check the credibility. But look, it's not about the contents being produced by ChatGPT today. Today is all about the process. We have discovered a process which could do wonders. Now, as I said, there are a lot of mistakes. The data is not up to date. But imagine 12 months from now, 24 months from now, what would be the output? So what we are saying, point of learning here is that, yes, we have developed a process which could take our jobs, change our jobs. Output today is not up to the quality, up to the mark, but it is changing. What we are seeing in terms of the AI potential is just the beginning, folks, just the beginning. And this is a good news because it's giving us some time to prepare ourselves to a level where everything would be directly replaceable.
Thank you very much, Salim, for sharing your insights. They're really useful and very valuable. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.